Messerschmitt Bf 109. The Messerschmitt Bf 109 became the most produced fighter aircraft in history with approximately 34,000 units manufactured between 1937 and 1945. Designed by Willy Messerschmitt in the mid-1930s, the fighter wrapped a small angular airframe around the most powerful inline engine available. Early models used the Junkers Jumo 210 engine, but later variants adopted the Daimler-Benz 601, producing over 1,000 horsepower. The Bf 109E dominated early war period operations from Poland through the Battle of Britain, with top speeds reaching 350 miles per hour. The aircraft mounted a 20 or 30 millimeter cannon firing through the propeller hub, plus two 13 millimeter machine guns above the engine. Later G&K models introduced in 1942 and 1944 respectively achieved speeds exceeding 450 miles per hour, with improved climb rates and higher operational ceilings near 41,000 feet. The fighter served on every front from North Africa to the Eastern Front. German ace pilots achieved remarkable kill counts in the 109, including Erich Hartmann's 352 victories. The small airframe provided exceptional maneuverability, and the fuel-injected engine allowed aggressive diving attacks impossible for early Allied fighters. Production continued throughout the war, making the Bf 109 synonymous with Luftwaffe fighter operations. Supermarine Spitfire. The Supermarine Spitfire entered Royal Air Force service in 1938 with approximately 20,351 aircraft produced through 1948. Designed by R.J. Mitchell, the Spitfire featured an elliptical wing design providing exceptional aerodynamic efficiency and maneuverability. Early Mark IV variants used the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, producing 1,030 horsepower, with top speeds reaching 364 miles per hour. The aircraft mounted 8 Browning 303 machine guns, providing devastating firepower. Later Marks introduced more powerful Merlin engines, and eventually the Griffin engine, producing over 2,000 horsepower, with speeds exceeding 450 miles per hour. Armament evolved to include 20 millimeter cannons and provisions for bombs or rockets. The Spitfire's finest hour came during the Battle of Britain in 1940, where it matched the Bf 109 in combat while defending British airspace. The fighter excelled at high-altitude operations and possessed superior turning ability compared to German fighters. Continuous development produced over 20 different marks addressing various roles including photo reconnaissance, carrier operations as the Seafire, and ground attack. 9 Allied nations flew Spitfires, including the United States during Operation Torch in North Africa. The graceful design became an enduring symbol of British resistance and remains perhaps the most iconic fighter aircraft of all time. Focke-Wulf Fw 190. The Focke-Wulf Fw 190 entered Luftwaffe service in 1941, with approximately 20,000 units produced through 1945. Designer Kurt Tank created a radial engine fighter when most contemporary designs used inline engines. The BMW 801 14-cylinder air-cooled radial produced 1,677 horsepower, reaching nearly 2,000 with emergency power. This exceptional power-to-weight ratio gave the Fw 190 a climb rate unmatched by Allied fighters until the Spitfire Mark IX appeared. The fighter weighed 5 tons lighter than the P-47 Thunderbolt while producing similar power. Top speed reached 408 miles per hour with service ceiling near 37,000 feet. Armament typically consisted of 4 20mm cannons and 2 13mm machine guns, making it one of the most heavily armed fighters. The wide-track landing gear provided excellent ground handling, unlike the narrow-gear Bf 109. Allied intelligence sought information on the mysterious fighter until a confused German pilot accidentally landed an intact Fw 190 at RAF Pembrey in Wales during 1942. The A variant focused on fighter operations, while the D variant used an inline engine for high-altitude interception. Luftwaffe ace Otto Kittel scored 267 of his kills, flying Fw 190s. The rugged design earned respect from all Allied pilots who considered it a formidable opponent. Yakovlev Yak-9. The Yakovlev Yak-9 became the Soviet Union's most produced fighter, with approximately 16,769 units manufactured between 1942 and 1948. Designed by Alexander Yakovlev, the fighter served multiple roles including interceptor, bomber escort, fighter bomber, and ground attack. The extremely light airframe used mixed construction with wooden wings and metal fuselage, keeping weight minimal. A Klimov VK-105 V12 engine produced 1,200 horsepower, achieving speeds near 400 miles per hour. The lightweight provided exceptional maneuverability, allowing the Yak-9 to dogfight successfully against Bf 109s and Fw 190s. Armament varied by variant, with most carrying a 20mm or 37mm cannon, firing through the propeller hub plus one 12.7mm machine gun. Specialized anti-tank variants mounted massive 45mm cannons for attacking German armor. The Yak-9 entered service during the Battle of Stalingrad and participated in every major Eastern Front operation through the fall of Berlin. Soviet pilots appreciated the fighter's handling characteristics and reliability in harsh conditions. Production continued after the war with aircraft supplied to Allied nations including Yugoslavia, Poland, and China. The simple design allowed rapid mass production, supporting Soviet numerical superiority in the air war. Republic P-47 Thunderbolt. The Republic P-47 Thunderbolt entered United States Army Air Forces service in 1942 with 15,683 aircraft produced through 1945. Designer Alexander Kartveli created the heaviest single-engine fighter of the war at approximately 7 tons empty weight. The massive Pratt & Whitney R-2800 double WASP 18-cylinder radial engine produced 2,000 horsepower, driving the aircraft to 433 miles per hour at altitude. The turbo-supercharged engine provided exceptional performance above 25,000 feet, making the Thunderbolt ideal for bomber escort missions. Armament consisted of 850 caliber M2 Browning machine guns, with provisions for bombs or rockets. The rugged airframe could absorb tremendous battle damage and return pilots home safely. Thunderbolts could dive at speeds approaching 500 miles per hour, giving pilots an escape option from trouble. Range initially limited the P-47's effectiveness until drop tanks extended operational radius, allowing escort missions deep into Germany. The fighter excelled in ground attack roles, destroying locomotives, vehicles, and German infrastructure during the Allied advance across France. Legendary pilots, including Robert Johnson and Francis Cabreski, achieved ace status flying Thunderbolts. The combination of firepower, durability, and high-altitude performance made the P-47 one of the war's most effective fighters, despite its massive size. North American P-51 Mustang. The North American P-51 Mustang entered service in 1942 with over 15,586 aircraft produced through 1945. Originally designed for Britain in just 117 days, early models proved disappointing at high altitude. Installation of the British Rolls-Royce Merlin engine transformed the Mustang into arguably the finest all-around piston fighter of World War II. The Packard-built Merlin Fw 1650 produced over 1,400 horsepower, achieving speeds exceeding 440 miles per hour. The laminar flow wing design provided exceptional aerodynamic efficiency and range. Internal fuel capacity plus drop tanks enabled escort missions from England to Berlin and back without refueling. This 1,000-mile combat radius solved the bomber escort problem plaguing Allied strategic bombing campaigns. Armament consisted of 650 caliber machine guns with provisions for bombs or rockets. The P-51D variant introduced a bubble canopy, providing excellent visibility for the pilot. Mustangs achieved air superiority over Germany in 1944, effectively ending Luftwaffe dominance. The famous Tuskegee Airmen flew Mustangs, achieving an outstanding record escorting bombers. The combination of speed, range, maneuverability, and firepower made the P-51 the complete fighter package. Post-war Mustangs served with numerous air forces and saw combat again in Korea. Hawker Hurricane. The Hawker Hurricane entered Royal Air Force service in 1937 with 14,483 aircraft produced through 1944. Designer Sidney Cam created a rugged fighter using traditional fabric-covered construction over a metal framework. The Rolls-Royce Merlin engine produced 1,030 horsepower, achieving top speeds near 340 miles per hour. 8 Browning 303 machine guns provided concentrated firepower. The Hurricane proved more numerous than the Spitfire during the Battle of Britain, with 32 squadrons operational. Hurricane pilots achieved approximately 60% of German aircraft destroyed during the battle. The stable gun platform and rugged construction allowed the Hurricane to absorb significant battle damage while remaining airworthy. The wide-track landing gear provided excellent ground handling characteristics. Later variants introduced 12 machine guns or 420mm cannons for ground attack roles. Hurricanes served on all fronts, including the defense of Malta, operations in North Africa, and convoy protection in the Arctic. Specialized versions included the Hurricane II tank buster, mounting 240mm cannons, and the Sea Hurricane for carrier operations. Though eventually outclassed by later German fighters, the Hurricane's contributions during Britain's darkest hour proved irreplaceable. The reliable workhorse mentality made it beloved by pilots and ground crews alike. Grumman F6F Hellcat. The Grumman F6F Hellcat entered United States Navy service in 1943 with 12,275 aircraft produced through 1945. Designed specifically to counter the Japanese A6M Zero, The Hellcat incorporated lessons learned from early Pacific combat. The Pratt & Whitney R2800 double WASP engine produced 2,000 horsepower achieving speeds near 380 miles per hour. Rugged construction included armor protection and self-sealing fuel tanks lacking on earlier carrier fighters. 650 caliber machine guns provided excellent firepower, with later variants carrying 220mm cannons and 4 machine guns. The Hellcat excelled in the Pacific theater, achieving a kill ratio near 19-to-1 against Japanese aircraft. Simple design philosophy emphasized ease of maintenance and pilot training over ultimate performance. The wide-track landing gear and excellent low-speed handling made carrier operations safer compared to other fighters. Hellcat pilots destroyed over 5,000 Japanese aircraft, earning more ace pilots than any other Allied fighter. The combination of firepower, protection, and reliability proved decisive in gaining air superiority across the Pacific. Production peaked in 1944 when the Hellcat dominated carrier air groups throughout the island-hopping campaign. Post-war Hellcats served with several nations, including France during the Indochina conflict. Vought F4U Corsair. The Vought F4U Corsair entered United States service in 1942 with 12,571 aircraft produced through 1953. Designer Rex Beisel created an innovative inverted gull wing design, accommodating a massive propeller while maintaining short landing gear. The Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine produced 2,000 horsepower, driving the Corsair to 446 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest fighters. The distinctive bent wing provided immediate visual recognition. Initial carrier qualification problems due to poor visibility and deck handling led to Marine Corps land-based operations while the Navy flew Hellcats. Armament consisted of 650 caliber machine guns or 4 20mm cannons, plus provisions for bombs and rockets. The Corsair excelled in the fighter-bomber role with 8 rockets or 4,000 pounds of bombs, supplementing air combat capability. Marine pilots nicknamed it Whistling Death due to the sound produced by air through the engine cowling. Japanese forces learned to fear the bent wing fighter's firepower and performance. Modifications eventually made the Corsair suitable for carrier operations, where it replaced Hellcats. The combination of speed, range, and payload capacity made the Corsair invaluable during the Pacific campaign. Production continued after the war, with Corsairs serving in Korea, achieving jet aircraft kills. Mitsubishi A6M Zero. The Mitsubishi A6M Zero entered Imperial Japanese Navy service in 1940 with approximately 10,939 aircraft produced through 1945. Designer Jiro Horikoshi created an exceptionally maneuverable fighter by minimizing weight through elimination of armor protection and self-sealing fuel tanks. The Nakajima Sakai 14-cylinder radial engine produced 1,100 horsepower, achieving speeds near 331 miles per hour. Armament consisted of 2 20mm cannons and 2 7.7mm machine guns. The Zero dominated Pacific combat during 1941 and 1942 with superior maneuverability and range, allowing operations far from carriers. Allied fighters could not match the Zero's turning ability in dogfights. American intelligence gained crucial insights after recovering an intact Zero from Alaska in 1942, revealing both strengths and critical weaknesses. The lack of protection made Zeros vulnerable to concentrated firepower from American fighters using boom and zoom tactics. As American fighters like the Hellcat and Corsair entered service with superior speed, firepower, and protection, the Zero's advantages diminished. Experienced Japanese pilots who mastered the Zero in early war fell to attrition, leaving less skilled replacements. Later variants attempted improvements, but industrial limitations prevented significant upgrades. The Zero represented Japanese design philosophy, emphasizing offensive capability over pilot protection. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and drop a comment. See you on the next one.